part-time cashier at Walmart. How stressful. And don't be like Simon, you know what it's like. I've worked as a part-time cashier at Sainsbury's, which it's probably not as bad as Walmart, but it's a supermarket. I know what it's like. I'm a man of the people. I've had peasant jobs. Just before we get started with today's video, I do want to say that it's brought to you by War Thunder, a military vehicle combat game that you play online. Also, what do? You play it for free. PC, Xbox Series X or S, PlayStation 5, and the previous generation of consoles as well. If you've got one of those, I know those new ones are in hot demand. No purchase necessary, you just download it, you get going. I have it on my PC. I'm a PC guy, although I do have an Xbox and a PlayStation as well. Some might call that excessive. However, I only played War Thunder on the PC and it works amazing and it looks good. And the sound is also incredible. The sound is something else. What I like about War Thunder is you can fire it up and you can just get going. It's not one of those games, I don't know. There are so many games you play these days where it's like you fire it up and you're just getting destroyed over and over again because everyone else is really good. I don't know, first-person shooter games, I'm always just getting destroyed over and over. War Thunder, you start playing and you immediately don't get your ass whipped if you choose the right game mode. But also, as you get better in the game, it gets, you can play against better people. You can play, it's more complicated. The game grows with your ability, which is nice. There are absolutely tons of vehicles you can choose from, and that includes air, land, and sea, and they interact with each other. So you could be being shot at by a plane, you can be like, pow, pow, pow. It's war in its all-encompassed nature. It's an intense, fun game. If you guys register through my link below, you will get a premium tank, aircraft, or ship, and a 3-day account boost, which is fantastic. All you need to do is go to wtplay.link/brainblazewt, which is a mouthful, so I will put a link below, and you get all of those exclusive bonuses that I just mentioned. And now today's video. Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of Brain Blaze. I am Blaze Boy Simon, and what happens here, Danny writes me a script. I've not read it before, and then Sam afterwards, the resident memologist, he is going to meme that shit up. Yes, he is. Today, a divorced man demands custody of donated kidney. I mean, is this really news? I mean, holy shit. Once you give someone a gift, you can't take it back. It's not like, oh yeah, I bought my wife a car 10 years ago, and then we got divorced, and now I want that car back. That's not how it works.
Noah, give it back.
No!
I said give it back now. Noah!
I mean, at best, you're going to get like half of the car. No, you shouldn't get any of the car. It doesn't work like that. And it definitely doesn't work for kidneys. Who's trying this? This is definitely out of America. Because nowhere else in the world would have such a lawsuit, because nowhere else in the world is quite so f***ing insane. You're not going to see lawsuits like this in North Korea. Tell you what. Let's go. A prickly divorce.
Okay, let's go.
A prickly divorce might inevitably involve heated arguments over who gets to work away with all of the good stuff. The house, the hot tub, the Flintstone cookie jars, the electric wine bottle opener. Ooh, that's a thing. I'd like one of those. The kids. Nah. You can have a wife, they're really annoying. There are some days as a father of two where it's like, oh my God, no, why? Why did I do this to myself? But 99% of the time I'm like, oh. But there is that 1% where you're like, oh my God, why did I have kids? Why aren't I sitting in a hot tub now smoking a cigar without children? I'm sorry, children, if you watch this in the future. It's just a tiny percentage of the time. Sometimes.
Daddy, no!
Daddy, yes!
But what happens when the aggrieved husband wants back his kidney as part of the divorce settlement? Well, look, Judge Simon will make a ruling. No! Long Island vascular surgeon. And you're a surgeon, dude. You're supposed to have a big brain. You're supposed to have a big brain. Please tell me at least that we're going to go, vascular surgeon was the guy who did the surgery and obviously not insane enough to actually launch this lawsuit. No. Not what happens. Long Island vascular surgeon Richard Batista married Dornell in 1990, and he showered his nurse wife with romantic gifts throughout their long relationship. Most notably, he gifted her his own kidney when Dornell suffered from renal failure in 2001.
What have I done?
Now that's more of a thoughtful gift than a boring box of chocolates, although a little bit more difficult to wrap. I don't know, just put it in a Ziploc bag first. But when the marriage broke down in 2005, Richard wanted back his property. Richard, you dickhead. If Donnell wasn't willing to give up the disputed kidney, he would be happy enough with $1.5 million in compensation. Okay, so in this relationship, I don't want to be... This is like, Simon, you're supporting the patriarchy. No, he's a vascular surgeon. She's a nurse. They're going to have a disparity of income. So isn't that $1.5 million mostly his money anyway? Obviously it's their money. So he's just using this as leverage. He's a surgeon. He's smart enough to know that obviously he's not getting it back. If there was like some trailer park guy from Florida, I'd be like, he actually thinks he's going to get his kidney back, doesn't he? He thinks that's something that can happen. But this guy's just using it as leverage to get more money in his lawsuit. He probably even paid a really expensive lawyer who came up with this. Or he probably just had a friend who's a lawyer because he's a vascular surgeon.
It's my money and I need it now! Shut the fuck up!
If you meet a vascular... I don't know any vascular surgeons because I don't hang out with people like... it's like, my friends... None of them are surgeons. None of them are lawyers. It's just like, no. We're just a bunch of reprobates. That's not true. I like my friends. Following the filing of the divorce suit, Richard shared his sob story with the national media. He reckons that shortly after he donated his kidney, his wife had embarked upon an extramarital affair with a physical therapist before throwing poor old Richard out of the luxurious $1 million family pad in Massapequa and strictly limiting his contacts with their 3 children. He wailed to the New York Post, "She slapped me with divorce papers in the operating room while I was trying to save another patient's life." Richo, you sound like a right knob. I can't believe that's something you'd actually say. And it does. You might think it makes you look like a hero, but it doesn't.
Batman, look at the size of those balls.
Even years later, many online sources report that many online sources report this is a story of a cruel wife who ruthlessly cheated on her doting doctor husband immediately after he had been so kind as to give up his own $1.5 million kidney. That's not at all what's gone on here. It's just this, even on the super basic facts. It's like, okay, so some of that's true, but most of it is just, wild ass speculation. But we need to cut a little deeper into the body of evidence to get the full picture here. Get it? Body of evidence. Cut a little deeper. Vascular surgery. Of course you got it.
I'm Michael Jordan. Stop it. Get some help.
Of course, Richard didn't really want back the kidney at all. There wouldn't be an awful lot he could do with it, apart from maybe feed it to the dog, which his wife had probably taken away. Oh, poor Richard. Richard's lawyer admitted that they were essentially demanding the value of the kidney. Now, I'm no expert in the current market price of internal organs, but I would have thought that $1.5 million is a bit bloody expensive for one kidney. You can apparently pick one up for less than 20 grand if you know where to shop. Holy shit, Daddy. You're now on a watch list. Daddy's been Googling, where can I get a new kidney? Although, if I was on some, is it bad? I guess it's quite a bad... I don't know if I should do that or admit to it. But if it's if I needed some organ and I was on a wait list and I was going to die, of course I'm going to find out where I can illegally buy an organ. And then I'll probably die on the table in some, backwards surgery in Mexico and be like, what have I done?
What have I done?
Can you imagine going under the knife in some dodgy surgery place where they're putting an illegal organ in you? You'd be like, what exactly is to stop you from just burying me out back and taking all the money? I guess you could demand you pay half later or something like that. But still, I was pretty nervous. I had surgery last year. And I was pretty nervous. I don't know why I was so nervous. I was irrationally nervous about having general anesthesia. And I was like, oh, but you're going to make me go unconscious? I don't know why I was so scared of it, but I'd be doubly scared, triply, many more times scared if I was doing it in some hack surgeon's Mexican bathroom.
But why?
I guess it wouldn't be done in the bathroom, but you know what I mean? Like from the movies, where it's dirty. Like in that Minority Report movie, where it's I could sew a cat inside you. And I'm just thinking, Tom Cruise probably thinking, please don't. Please don't sew that cat inside me. I know you could. I know you could, but don't. You weirdo. It could just be that Richard thought a surgeon's kidney was way more valuable than, say, a kangaroo keeper's kidney. I don't know, isn't it more to do with how much you drink? No, that's the liver. What does kidneys do? Yeah, just it's just do about how pure your kidney is. But to cut to the point, his allegations regarding his estranged wife may have shared something in common with the kind of thing that gets flushed out by a functioning kidney. Urea? Like the bad stuff that goes in your urine that the body's trying to get rid of? Isn't that what kidneys do? Dornell later publicly denied the charges of infidelity and restricting access to the children. She also revealed that the divorce was triggered by Richard's increasingly controlling and paranoid behavior, in which he had begun to regularly inspect her underwear for evidence of an affair that only existed inside his head. Uh-oh, Richard's a wacko. Allegedly. He sounds litigious. Let's be careful. The Nassau County Supreme Court ultimately rejected Richard's demands, reasoning that marital property doesn't extend to human tissues or organs. Also, if you gave someone a gift, even if it's your wife, it's a gift. That's hers. I understand, like, if I got divorced, all of the stuff that we co-owned, we'd kind of split down the middle, or however you want to do it. I don't know. A friend of mine's getting divorced right now. Seems f***ing messy as shit. And I'm like, okay, so it's not quite as simple as that, is it? Holy shit. Don't get divorced, whistle boy. But if you've given someone a gift, if you've been like, I bought you this watch, I bought you this car, I bought you this dress, that's like, you can't be like, get half of that back. That's insane. It's a gift. Jesus Christ. I think there's also the slight clue to be found in the term organ donation. Yes, thank you, Danny. The court also suggested that Richard's attempts to extort money from Dornell over the kidney were legally unsound, and it was potentially grounds for criminal prosecution. Uh-oh. Although nothing appears to have emerged on that front. From Richard's perspective, though, this was a tragic legal case of massive
Don't do it. No.
massive kidney failure.
No!
Kidnapper sues hostages for escaping. Seriously, you can't trust anybody these days. In September 2009, the newlywed couple, Jared and Lindsay Rowley, opens up the front door of their home in Topeka, Kansas. They found a chap called Jesse Dimmick on their doorstep who appeared to be scared out of his wits. He begs the Rowleys for sanctuary as he reckons that some bad guys were out to get him and he feared for his life. The Rowleys welcomed Jesse into the home, but they'd barely taken a step through the threshold when he whipped out a knife and coldly declared that he would be taking up lodgings for a while. Holy shit. Oh my God. The other day, I was hanging out at my house and I come down to the kitchen and there's a dude knocking on the kitchen door. Like there's a glass door and it leads out to a deck, and there's a dude, and this is in the middle of nowhere, like right out in the house is in the middle of nowhere. And there's a dude like knocking on the glass door, and I like walk into the kitchen and he sees me, he waves, and he just starts opening the door into my house and he steps inside. And I'm like, what are you doing? It just felt like such an invasion somehow. I'm like, I know it was cold and it was raining outside, but I'm like, bro, you have to wait for me to say, please come inside my home, rather than just stepping inside. And then I'm like, please leave. And I don't know what he wanted. I think it was a very strange situation. And I just asked him to leave. And I wrote down his license plate number as he drove away, just in case he came back to murder me later. And that was the end of that story. Weird. Totally weird. Fascinating insight, Simon. Thank you.
Why are you the way that you are?
It turns out that the bad guys out to get him were the police. Jesse was a fugitive from Denver who was wanted for questioning in relation to the beating and death of a Colorado man. Jesse had stolen a car and made it as far as Kansas before running out of gas and deciding they needed to lie low in the comfort of some unsuspecting good-natured citizens. What a rotter. But that's not the only way you can't trust anyone these days. I was actually talking about the Rowleys, who really let the side down by breaking that sacrosanct code between kidnapper and hostage. They had the sheer audacity to escape. To be fair, the couple played it pretty cool. Instead of panicking, they managed to calm Jesse down and gain his trust. They offered him Cheerios and Dr. Peppers and plonked him down in front of the telly to watch a nice, wholesome family movie. Maybe The Princess Bride. I love to think that maybe they even slipped something extra into those Dr. Peppers, because a few hours later, Jesse had become so comfortable in his new bolt hole that he nodded off for a little while, leaving his hostages free to make their dramatic escape. Well, actually, they just strolled calmly out of the front door and informed the authorities. Jesse was later awoken by the police, one of whom was clumsy enough to accidentally discharge his rifle into poor Jesse's back, although he wasn't seriously hurt. What?
Oh shit, I'm sorry.
Was he at least running away or something? Or did the police just wander into the house to arrest him, find him sleeping on the couch and be like, oh, fuck, my gun went off again, John, I shot him. And Jesse just wakes up being like, what the fuck, man? What the? Come on. Just slightly alarming that the suspect was fast asleep and they still managed to shoot him. And it's at this point that I wonder whether Jesse was black. Because I'm just like, holy shit. Whenever you read stories about this, and I don't know whether these are the ones that just get picked up by the media, but it does make, it does seem super racist, doesn't it? Because it's like, you're just in your mind, I'm like, yeah, the guy's getting unarmed and getting shot by the police. I don't know what the statistics bear out, but yeah. Okay.
Oh shit.
Jesse was jailed in 2010 for 11 years after he was convicted of 4 counts of felony, including 2 kidnappings. He later pled guilty to second-degree murder of a Colorado victim and got another 37 years whacked on top of his sentence. Good lordy lord. The Rowleys decided to sue Jesse for $75,000 in damages, alleging trespass and negligent infliction of emotional distress. Yo, do you really think the guy who's doing a carjacking in Colorado or wherever has $75,000 to give you? He's going to be like making license plates forever to pay that off. He's never going to be able to pay that off. How much do you get paid for making license plates? It's going to be like $1 or something. Well, he's going to make 75,000 license plates. Holy shit. You're going to own this guy forever. That's pretty crazy. I'm not sure how that panned out as the trail goes quiet on that front. Jesse claimed that the Rowleys had made a legally binding oral agreement to protect him in exchange for an unspecified amount of dough, and they had breached that contract. He was seeking $235,000 to cover his medical bills after being accidentally shot by the Keystone cops, and a further $75,000 for pain and suffering. If this guy got shot by the police in the back while he was asleep, how the are the police not paying that? I understand that he's a murderer and he went to prison for 37 years, but still, the police or someone has to pay to have that wound fixed. That is not him. The police shot him in the back while he was asleep. Me? When dismissing the case, the judge noted that some of the essential items that constitute a legally binding contract had not been met, including the specification of a price. I would have thought that it was more important to focus on the fact that any supposed contract would have been made under extreme duress and surely, therefore, null and void. Yeah, but then duress you got to make an argument for. If the contract just doesn't have a price, you're like, well, it's obviously ridiculous. I'm sure you could throw this out for a dozen reasons, but the price is just going to be an easy one.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
But I expect it to be a long time before poor old Jesse learns how to trust again. Yeah, especially in the slammer. Miserable old witch sues teenage girls for act of kindness. Finally, while we're on the subject of harsh life lessons, there might be some truth in the theory that no good deed goes unpunished. During the school summer holidays of 2004, 17-year-old Taylor Ostergaard and her 18-year-old buddy Lindsay Jo Zaletti decided to skip their scheduled evening dance class and bake surprise cookies for all their neighbors instead. Oh, is this the one where they put drugs? Wasn't there like a story about someone putting drugs? Was this in a TV show? I'm not sure. There was a story like they put drugs in the cookies or something like that. They decorated each plate with pink paper hearts and a little handwritten message which read, "Have a great night." Then at roughly 10:30 p.m. they visited several houses in their friendly neighborhood of Durango in southwestern Colorado, knocked on each door, left a plate of cookies on the doorstep, and then disappeared back into the night, presumably so that the recipient might believe that the cookies were baked by invisible fairies. Well, either the people living in those homes are very small children or very dim adults. If we're being picky, maybe the teenagers should have carried out this random act of kindness during daylight hours instead of sneaking around at night. Yes, but then where would be the fun in this? This does sound like a fun children activity. But the reaction of one of the lucky recipients, 49-year-old misery guts Juanita Young, seemed way over the top. Startled by the surprise package of cookies and the mysterious shadowy figures, she called 911 in distress. When the cops turned up, they found no evidence of criminal activity, just a nice box of yummy cookies, which clearly encouraged Juanita to have a great night. If anyone gets it, what basis do you have for this? One of the nicest things that happened to me last year, it got to like around Christmas, and some dude just shows up at my office and he's got a giant bag of cookies for me. Like this massive bag of cookies. And he's like, yeah, this is a delivery from this local bakery cookie shop. And I'm like, amazing. I didn't order this, but I will absolutely take it. And I take it inside and there's a little note inside and it's from one of my sponsors who sponsors the videos. And they're just like, thanks for a great year. And I'm like, that's so nice. and I enjoyed the out of those cookies. But after the police left the scene to deal with the real crime, Juanita was feeling so spooked by the prowling cookie angels that she packed her bags and went to spend the night with her sister. What a f***ing pansy. Wait, can we say pansy anymore? Is that PC? Does pansy mean, is that derogatory? I feel like that could be derogatory. I don't mean it that. I mean like she's a coward. She's a coward.
You're a coward, you know that?
The next day, Juanita was still anxious about the whole dramatic ordeal and feared that she might be having a heart attack. Oh my god, you're the weakest person. You're such a piece of shit, allegedly. After visiting the emergency room at the local hospital, she was sent back home with the diagnosis of nothing more than an upset tummy. Maybe she was hungry because she didn't eat any cookies. The teenagers were horrified when they heard of the medical trauma that they'd unwittingly inflicted on their poor neighbor, figuring out that knocking on her door, they need to talk to their parents. And they'd be like, no, that's Juanita. She's f***ing crazy. Don't worry about it for a second. And, yeah, you're fine. Chill. They each sent heartfelt letters of apologies to Juanita. Taylor's letter explains, "We didn't realize that this would cause you trouble. I just want you to know that someone cared about you and your family." The families of the girls later offered to stump up $900 to cover Juanita's medical bills, which seemed a bit steep for an upset tummy.
They're nice.
Yeah, but this is America, Danny. This is America. $900. I mean, like, how did you go into a hospital and leave with a bill of less than $1,000? How did you do that? You must have friends in the hospital. But I gather this is how it goes down in America, yes. However, before handing over the money, they also asked if Juanita wouldn't mind signing a release declaring that she wouldn't take any further legal action. But Juanita felt offended that the letters of apology hadn't been delivered in person, which is odd, as she clearly went to pieces whenever anyone knocked on her door. She turned down the offer and filed a lawsuit against the two families, seeking $900 for medical expenses and a further $3,000 for alleged damage to the motion sensor lights on her porch, punitive damages, and lost wages. I f***ing hate you, Juanita. I hate you. You're everything that's wrong with everything.
Naughty, naughty.
And I was going to say America, but it's not. It's like you're just a piece of person that no one likes. And because no one likes you, because you're a piece of shit, this is what you do. And it's just very unpleasant, isn't it, you witch? Allegedly. She apparently hadn't been able to face going back to her part-time job as a cashier for Walmart since the doorstep drama had unfolded. Ah yes, part-time cashier at Walmart. How stressful. And don't be like Simon, you know what it's like. I've worked as a part-time cashier at Sainsbury's, which it's probably not as bad as Walmart, but it's a supermarket. I know what it's like. I'm a man of the people. I've had peasant jobs. It wasn't that stressful. In fact, it wasn't stressful at all. Oddly enough, I'd often eat cookies that I definitely paid for. In an incredibly controversial move, Judge Doug Walker actually awarded Juanita $900 for medical bills. He reasoned the teenagers had not acted maliciously, but that it was fairly late for them to be out. What are you talking about, Judge? It's a curfew or what? Thankfully, he rejected the claim of the other $3,000, so Juanita ended up with the exact same amount that she would have received anyway without dragging the teenagers to court. Following the verdict, the girls were in tears and too upset to talk to the press, but Juanita found the time to gloat as she quipped, "The victory wasn't sweet. I just hope the girls learned a lesson." You absolute bitch. Allegedly.
You're a whore, and your mother was a whore, and her mother, and your father used to turn tricks at a gas station, because he was a whore too.
Little wonder that by this point, the locals had given her the nickname the Durango Witch and the Cookie Monster. There is a bit of good news though. The teenagers were flooded with offers to pay the fine from throughout the US, and they ended up receiving thousands of additional dollars, which are donated to the Never Forgotten Fund for students from Columbine High. Legends. Love it. A restraining order was later taken out on Juanita's husband, who had continued to make harassing telephone calls to the two families long after the lawsuit. And it's since been revealed that the Durango Witch and her goblin husbands were no strangers to court. Hanging goblin. They themselves have been sued around 10 times by banks, creditors, and construction companies, with 2 of those cases involving restraining orders getting slapped on the grumpy couple. Good. It does strike me as odd that girls of that age were baking cookies for their neighbors in the first place. When I first heard the story, I assumed they must have been about 9 or 10, not 17. And they were 17 and 18. That's pretty old to be like baking cookies and taking them around your neighborhood. Shouldn't they have been out snorting cocaine and shoplifting and stealing cars and wrestling in the street by that age? Apparently there's a new TV show out called Euphoria, which is all about kids having sex and doing drugs. And I'm like, okay, It's this huge sweeping thing that everyone seems to be watching, and it's like, I just have no desire to watch that. And apparently it's got, like, it doesn't have real penises in it, but it's got, like, fake penises. That's what I know about Euphoria, that's all. Fascinating, Simon, well done.
God, you're so disgusting. That's not white chocolate, that's your dick.
I know, well, you know.
This is what happens when you go against the grain and try to be kind. Fate has a habit of kicking you right in the donated kidneys. That's just the way the biscuit disintegrates. This has been an episode of Brain Blaze. Thank you so much for watching. A little bit of a news one there. Were these news stories timely at all? I don't think when it's old, it's news. It's just something that happened in the past. History, maybe? Is that what we call it? Anyway, this has been Brain Blaze. Thank you so much for watching. Smash that like button, and I'll see you next time. Just before we end today's video, thank you again to War Thunder for sponsoring it. You can find a link below to get your special bonus and start playing. And thank you for watching.